Welcome back, Prepressers. We're going to take a look at the beginnings of the PIA's Prepress Training Manual, section 1.1, which is the Intro to Graphic Communications. I will be breaking the lectures up into smaller videos for all sorts of reasons, not the least of which being infrastructure and making sure the videos don't go too long and crash computers. My computer, mainly. So we'll be breaking down into smaller bite-sized pieces, and we'll be going through this stuff. Also, I'm going to do my best to avoid PowerPoint karaoke because nobody likes that. So consider the fact that you can read the screens and you can read the book yourself. This is more color commentary, and I will also, as I have always said, there are a couple things that will sometimes need correcting and updating. This book was written about 10 years ago originally, and they've not been on top of updating as much as they should. So some information has changed since publication. And the other thing is the PIA is based outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So there is some regional dialect differences within print shops and within the industry that they're going to say things that we don't say here. Again, it's kind of the difference between knowing where you live by what are you drinking that's bubbly coming out of that can? Is it soda? Is it pop? Is it cola? Is it Coke, no matter what the brand is? It's different depending on where you live. I know we live out in the soda part of the country, but I have relatives who live in pop and I have relatives who live in cola. So depending on where you are, sometimes some of the language changes. So for those of you looking for work out here on the West Coast, I want to make sure that you're using the right lingo. Unless you want to sound pretentious and pretend that you're from back east, then by all means use the PIA's language unfiltered, and they'll all assume you're from Boston. Anyways, let's take a look. Without further ado, we're going to start with this. So let's share this screen. So task 1, module 1. I still don't know why they couldn't just call these chapters like normal people. So learning objectives, they're going to look at what we want us to do. We wanted to take a look at the general overview and the general survey of the industry. Some of this has changed a little bit. And of course, I always have color commentary on this stuff too. We're going to look at the different types of design considerations, but that won't be in this video. That'll be in videos 2 and 3 of this particular lecture. Composition is the basic part of building up a document. Composition is getting together the images, the vector graphics, the texts, the logos, and putting it all together to make a printable piece that can be put out, although it's not always for print. Typically, composition is done by designers, although there's a definite amount of overlap. Whoops, that wasn't my cursor. Overlap between designers and prepress. There's a huge gray area, a huge tidewater where both are both. That's the part of the industry that I've come from, by the by. Before I got into teaching here, I was prepress for 5 years at a small, very small print shop up in Chino. And I did everything from graphic design to some bindery work to a lot of press operation because there were very few of us and we all wore many, many hats. In fact, I'm going to turn off my little video here to save some memory on our video. So bye for now for me, and let's keep going. So artists who understand the guiding principles of graphic communications is their definition for designers. Designers are the people who make the layouts. There's a lot of different things, reasons you would do composition. Everything involved in composition is choosing the colors, the images, the typography, and all the parts that make you get the right response. We're always looking for responses. We are very carefully playing with not just some sort of artistic design layout, but our stuff is designed and created for purposes. There's a good amount of understanding and using psychology in what we do and understanding what triggers people emotionally, because most decision making is emotional. As much as we want to believe that we are logical, rational creatures, and I speak for myself as well as the rest of humanity here, we all are pretty sure that we are scientific in our thinking, and all our decisions are made out of good, strong rationale and thinking it through and weighing the pros and the cons. I say baloney. I've worked in enough printing and enough bits of sales to know that people are emotional creatures. We make decisions based off our gut and what we're feeling. And we only tend to lie to ourselves and to others to say that we made our decisions logically. We use logic to back up the decision we've already made. So if you're going to create a printed piece that's going to be doing something for someone, we're generally looking to modify behavior. Sometimes you want to entertain. Most of the time you want someone to buy something. Sometimes it's for recognition. We're trying to get people to understand that something is worth money. So we'll create printed pieces to establish the value of a service or a product. Sometimes it's for informational purposes, like the brochures you get at doctor's offices or travel brochures in the lobbies of hotels. People aren't really going to these places very much right now, are they? All sorts of reasons. Heck, textbooks are designed in such a way to help you want to be more curious and learn, hopefully, if they're designed right. So here's the different parts of design. They talk about the use of space, the control of mass, the choice of colors, the type style. Honestly, PIA, just call it typography. You're in the printing industry. You are the printing industry. And illustration choices. Graphic communications is an umbrella term for the part of industry that printing is in. This is one of those questions of what's the difference between graphic communications and printing? Well, that's a question of bears and mammals. All bears are mammals, but not all mammals are bears. So all printing is graphic communications, but graphic communications is bigger than just us. It includes web design, TV. Anytime you are reproducing images one way or another for people to see and communicating via typography, design, and layout, whether it's mobile devices, internet, television, I don't even know what else is going to come out soon. Mail, all this stuff is all done as a part of graphic communications. We are one part of it. And content creators use print services a lot. And we're going to take a look at how that works more and more in detail because this is a printing class. I don't know how I ended up back on this page. Creative services, there's a lot of different types. I'm not going to read this slide because we're going to go through each one of these separately. There's a lot of different parts that work to make content and a lot of different types and segments of the industry that work together. There are more of these and less of these than there used to be. So keep that in mind in the real world here. Why does that do that every time I click that button? I'm not going to click that button anymore. Freelance designers. People work from home. That's everybody nowadays, right? Freelance designers are designers who don't work for any sort of large studios. They work by themselves, especially since the advent of computing in layout. You can work by yourself. Although I have two friends, period, end of sentence, start crying. Okay, two of my friends are freelance designers. One of them is new school and closer to my age and works with computer. And she's one of the only, until I met the other one through some of my dork hobbies, until I met Tim, Rebecca was the only one I knew, who are actually successful freelance. I tried for a bit. I did not do well. I had a difficulty establishing my own value and finding paying customers. I ended up with all free and no lance, doing tons of favors and not earning any money doing it. So it takes a special kind of person who's able to actually make this work. And my hat's off to anyone who can. Basically, they work for anyone who wants design done, and they'll do it for you. Again, often out of the home, especially once you have computers, anyone can just have a computer and get the Adobe suite, Creative Cloud these days, and get their expertise up in design and sell their graphics to other people. Although my other friend, Tim, who works at the print museum as well, has been doing this so long, he actually does freelance work that was hand drafted as well. He did paste up out of his home office. So seriously, hats off to him too. Well done, mister. Next page. Freelance design isn't always meant for printing. Sometimes they're meant for web or other distribution, video productions, mobile apps. Anyone who needs logos, I mean, a logo is good for anything, right? You can put it on a building, you can put it on a car, you can put it in a printed piece. So they'll work for anything, but they do often work for print distribution as well as non. Design studios. I've worked with, but never for any of these, and that's a group of designers working together to make a design studio. To me, it always seemed like the coolest kind of place to work, where you and all the other creative guys are working in a probably unfinished, whitewashed, upper warehousey building somewhere in New York City, making cool designs and edgy things together and talking about cool stuff. And your whole life is typography and fashion, and it sounds glamorous. I don't know if it actually is. I've never actually worked for one of these places. But anyways, they'll do things beyond uh, what a single freelance person can do. By having a team, you have more creative power and more, honestly, just production time by all the people working together to get things done quicker. They tend to work for bigger companies and hit larger accounts. They go after a different market segment than the freelancers do. The freelancers typically aim for a smaller, more localized startup business type things and people that don't need as much work, while bigger companies like Coca-Cola and Disney hire design studios to do work for them. They often have a lot of capabilities and will often have bits of printing, bits of proofing, and bits of photography rolled right into one big giant conglomerate, where freelancers tend to be more limited in their capabilities. Again, by just not being a team, if you're freelance, it's what you can do. If you're at a design studio, it's what you and your coworkers can do. And what type of equipment can a company afford rather than just what kind of equipment can you afford? So, pooling resources and stuff gives them a better shot. Ad agencies are bigger than design studios. This is like your Mad Men type thing, but probably with less adult content, um, if you've seen any of that show. So ad agencies are bigger than just design studios. Oftentimes they'll have design in them, but they'll do things where they'll help promote things by TV and radio and internet use. And they're about making sure that things sell. Big companies typically hire these, not small startups, because small startups can't really afford agencies to do this kind of work for them. Large ad agencies probably already have relationships with large print houses and know each other's requirements well and work quickly with them. A lot of times they'll have people like us, Prepress, can work in an advertising agency to help make sure that the work of the designers in that agency are going to meet spec when they go out to press. So working in Prepress doesn't necessarily mean you're working for a print shop. My first Prepress job was actually working for a dental hygiene literature place. Yep, that's right. I was in the dental industry at one point. If you saw my teeth, you probably wouldn't be thinking that, would you? And lastly, photography studios. Our school has a great photography program. If you want to print good pictures, you have to take good pictures. Despite what the movies show you with all the enhancing scenes and all the not documentaries, all the crime shows and science fiction, you get what you put into it. You take a good picture, you can print a good picture. You cannot take a bad picture and make it good. Professionals taking your photography is the only way to go for high quality images that you're going to reproduce. They have better cameras, better control of the lighting, and they are going to give you what you need rather than something that's falling short of what you were hoping for. This is where I'm going to stop for today's video. Thank you for listening. I hope this becomes less awkward for all of us as the semester goes. Stop the share and start the video again and say goodbye for now. Thank you again for coming back and joining me. It's good to have you back.